Hey YouTube, guess what? I quit my job. I'm so happy. Like I was sad because of some of the people I was leaving, but I'm so happy. I fucking hated that place. I hated it. but I was like, I have to make a video because I have already been thinking about making a video on some of the toxic behaviors and environments that I'm trying to change about myself and in my life. And with new year, new decade starting, that was the major thing that needed to change was my job. I got news about 3 weeks ago that I got hired to a place I had interviewed with, and I was like, yes. I was like, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Because just even a few weeks before that, even maybe a month or two before that, my job was becoming so incredibly toxic. So incredibly toxic. Um that it was like I had to go. There was nothing about where you try to hold on to something in order to pay bills or, things like that. I'm like, I have to leave. Um I've been trying to get out of there for a while now, but what was holding me back was I had gone back to school, which I had just completed like the week I found out I got this job. Um so that was kind of a roadblock cuz nobody that was hiring full time and had great benefits and a higher pay and things like that, they didn't want to take on me at the time when I was still taking school, and that was kind of interrupting whatever their strict schedule was. So I'm just so happy to be done. Um Working at this job, and especially these last couple of months, I have probably dealt with one of the worst managers I've ever dealt with in my life. And the reason that is, like, I've I've had more bad managers than great ones. But at least in my past, the past managers I've had that were terrible, like it was something you could clearly see. Like, they don't know how to communicate, they don't do this, they don't do that, they're kind of a dick. um so it was kind of hard to, it was kind of easy to say, like, hey, my manager's a piece of shit, and it's just like, well, yeah, she's got an attitude all the time. But this one, the reason why it was the worst is because he came off as just very charming and, easygoing and laid back, and he wasn't raising his voice at anybody. But at the same time, he would do dumb, lazy ass shit. Like, when I would tell people who were like our vendors some of the stuff he was doing, they're like, really, him? He's such a nice guy. And I was just like, that's because he wants you to see his charm, but he's really kind of a douchebag. I would tell people all the time, like, he's a good manager because he's not a bad one. And that's in no way, shape, or form a compliment. Um, because you're not bad because you're not just outwardly being a dick. But he would find ways around things so that he wouldn't have to close, he wouldn't have to do certain things, and he would kind of toss his work off to other people, and then he would skedaddle early, and it's just like, dude, really, you can't do this. um so, like I've said in the past, I'm trying not to make my videos all super long and talky, and so some of the key points that where he was making my life a living hell. I've had this ongoing thing about him not closing. Managers are supposed to close 2 nights a week, work every other weekend. He would close one day a week at best. At freaking best. Um, so there would be plenty of times I would go above his head to his managers. hey, he's not doing this. He would falsify schedules and put on there, because I had a district manager at one point said, our store's open from 8 to 8. He would say, well, it says he's scheduled here. He's from 8 to 8. I was like, yeah, but look, there's also another person there and another supervisor there. So I would tell them, so if you see anytime he schedules himself from 8 to 8, and there's also two other people who are closing as well, he's not one of those people who's closing. Um, so it's just like, you're like straight up falsifying shit. Um, so in that I'm a manager's worst nightmare. If you're a manager who's lazy and doesn't like to do your job, I'm your worst nightmare. Because even though I come in and I bust my ass off, I don't do a whole lot of talking. I just want to come in and work. But when I see some shit that is not right, I speak up. Because I don't like that. Because you have too many people who come into these companies. This is how companies lose good employees. Because you have a manager who either doesn't know what they're doing or doesn't want to do anything. And that's how you lose employees. And he's definitely one of those people. There are things, I was a supervisor. There are things when I started at that store June of 2016. There are still things as a supervisor that until my last day I still didn't know how to do. I had never been trained. You know, I'm a supervisor. I had never gone to the bank to do a change order. Things like that. He never wanted to teach me anything. Um, a lot of the things that I learned how to do, I had to figure out on my own. I had to teach myself. So it's just like just shitty management. Um, and I also feel like that as a manager, you should be able to handle some type of conflict. And he just wouldn't. Um, One of the major things is the last couple of, well, not even months, like the past month at our store, we're gaining more customers because the other pharmacy that's in the area, they're closing. So we're taking on more patients, so more prescriptions, all that. Um, so with that being said, and not only that, the high turnover rate that's in our pharmacy because like people had quit within the last couple of months. Um, so you have customers who are getting the wrong prescriptions, who are told, if they call in, hey, it'll be done in an hour. They come in an hour and it's just like, oh, I'm sorry, it's going to be another hour. And then when it would get to the register, like, hey, what's going on? It's just like, oh, sorry, we don't have it. And so that's like a 3-hour wait to find out that we don't even have the shit. Um, and we would have customers who would come up to the front of the store and would complain to us and say, I'm so fucking tired of your pharmacy. Like, what the fuck is going on? I've been standing here for hours and you don't have my medicine. Like, why wasn't I told that over the phone? And I have a manager who, I shit you not, would be within earshot and hear these customers complain and then wait till they leave and then come up to us and say, what was that about? I don't know if you were a manager who came up and said, hey, what's the issue? How can I help you? What's going on? What can I do to make it better? But he would never do that. And it's just like, how can you be a manager and not manage? And it's just like, and then on my end, I felt like a shitty supervisor because it's like, all I can give a customer is an amen. That's all I can give you is an amen. Um, because there's nothing I can do. Because if I try to escalate it to the manager, it's going to stop right here. That's how far my reach can go. Because if I can't pass him the ball and him take it somewhere to get some type of resolution, all I can give you is an amen and say, I would tell people on the regular, you don't like it, call corporate. Like, seriously. But nobody would ever call corporate because they would think like, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. No, get them in trouble. Do it. Call corporate because that's the only way anything's going to change, because it's not going to change on a store level because our manager does not manage. Um, and that was a huge thing I was dealing with, was like, for instance, there are a lot of damned if I do, damned if I don't moments I would have. Now, our store is in a rough area. So, of course, high theft. And I would have, for instance, I would have coworkers that say, "Hey, watch that person because they're kind of suspicious. They might be stealing something." And I would look like a bitch to them, and because I would be like, "Okay," and and it's because, first of all, if they're the type of customers who are going to do the stealing thing, like play the long game where you think you're just going to go to every aisle and pretend like you're reading ingredients and shit like that, I don't have time for that. Because what I'm going to do is eventually just get frustrated and say, "Hey, can I help you? What are you looking for? Because you're taking too fucking long. If you're going to steal, please steal." And go about your merry way. I don't have time to watch you for 45 fucking minutes. So, but anyway, they would look at me like I was a bitch, my coworkers, because I wouldn't follow people who would steal. And my thing is, because if I go to the manager and say, "I've told this person they can't come in the store anymore because I caught them stealing this, that, and the other," and he'd be like, well, okay. And the next day you see the person in the store again. It's just like, "I told you they can't come in." "Well, what did they do?" "You know what? Just whatever, dude. Whatever." So I would have coworkers who would look at me like, "Well, damn, she don't give a fuck about her job." No, I do care. It's just that if the people above me don't care, again, my reach is this high. So there's nothing really that I can do. Um and then if you look at it from a customer perspective, if I catch you stealing and I tell you you can't come in here, and the next day the manager turns around and lets you come in, I'm just the one who looks like a fucking idiot, and they've gotten away with everything. So it's just like I care, but I can't care because my reach only goes so far. But I would deal with it all the time. I had a coworker that, I tell you, he would only work because he had another job in the morning, and he would come in and he would close. And he would work probably Monday through Friday, 4 to 8. He would just work 4 hours each weeknight. He would work every Saturday for 8 hours and every other Sunday. When I tell you that this boy would do nothing for the entirety of the time he was there but talk to his friends would come in and they would stand for hours. You would think I was talking about somebody dealing with their first job as like a 16 or 17-year-old. No, this kid was like 32. Can you imagine being a 30-something-year-old male and your friends would come into your job, other people in their 30s, who would stand there and talk to you for hours? I didn't even do that when I was a teenager at my first job. And, if my friends would come in, I would talk to you for about 10 minutes, at the most 15 maybe. And then I got to go back to work. I can't stand here and talk to you for fucking hours. But he would do that all the time. His friends would come in all the time. He would take numerous bathroom breaks, but wouldn't take an actual break or a lunch. You would catch him all the time. Like at the front of the store near the register would be our hair care stuff. So there's mirrors and shit. He would look at himself in the mirror 92 times a goddamn day. He actually had one of the mirrors stashed behind the register so that he could look at himself in the mirror from the register. Yeah. And when I told the manager, because when I first started working there, he put this kid on my Sundays. And I said, after a while, I said, I can't do this. I can't. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything. You have him closing with me, and I end up doing my job and his entire job. I cannot do this. And especially at a point where it seems like every year a lot of the stores get cut hours. And I'm just like, and these are hours that you're giving to him that he's not doing anything that you can give to the rest of us up front. And I kid you not, I told him, I was like, I know it's going to be difficult because you're not going to find anybody who wants to work every single Saturday. You're just not. Not even an older person is willing to give that up. If they're just looking for they've retired and they're just looking for something to do. You're not going to find that. I understand that. But you have to do something. And his response was, "Well, who's going to work his Sundays?" And I said, "You." Because at that point, the manager would come in for like 4 hours every Sunday morning and then leave. And I was just like, instead of you coming in every single Sunday, why don't you just come in every other Sunday and stay the whole time? Oh, but that's the only time my family's off. That's the only time all of our families are off for the most part. Most part, people have these grown up jobs where they work Monday through Friday and off on the weekend. So why is your family more important than ours? We are all tired of doing this one guy's job. You can't sacrifice every other Sunday? Are you kidding me? And that was his whole thing. He let this kid stay there for too long until he eventually started stealing. And he only fired him on that part because, again, we're in a rough area, predominantly black. So, of course, all the upper people are all white. And the only reason I can guarantee you that kid got fired is because he was worried how he would look as a black man because you have a black employee stealing money. Like, it just got to a point where I was just disgusted because he wouldn't, like, you wouldn't put your foot down on anything. And it's like you're letting all these women do all of your fucking dirty work while you just sit back and I don't know. So the last couple of months, I was snitching. I'm calling district managers like, he's not doing this. I'm calling union reps. Like, something at a certain point has got to give. It has got to give. And even as soon as like a couple of days before I actually did quit, I was still reporting shit. Um because like I said, I'm the type of person where when I'm in a place, I'm speaking up. And I know nobody else is. And I told my coworkers, I'm like, I'm already on the way out. I know you guys are kind of, you don't want to lose your jobs. I have nothing to lose when it comes to this company. I have no problem telling everything. Absolutely everything. Because I said, you guys deserve more. You guys, you come in here and you work your ass off. You're being used. And even at the point where I told the district manager the last time, about 3 weeks ago, that the manager wasn't closing, my manager is such an asshole. What he did was he published a schedule for this week. Again, I quit on a Monday. I planned on like I had been waiting for like weeks to say, hey, Monday the 6th was going to be my last day. He's such an asshole. The lady that had retired last year was already planning to come back this year, but she only wanted to work a couple days a week. He ignored everything she wanted, gave her all of my hours and knocked me down to 15. Boo, I'm the pettiest. So, of course, it was going to be okay, give me 15 hours. I knew he knew something was up because usually if he was to do something like that to me in the past, I'd be like, hold up, what the fuck is this? But I wasn't. I was like, oh, 15 hours? Cool. I was planning on working 4 of those, but all right. and that's how it was. You know, and it's just like, again, that's how companies you lose good employees. Like, instead of just owning it like, yeah, you've been getting away scot-free for like since 2016, only closing one night a week, if any, by not working Sundays. You've been getting away with that for so long. Why don't you just man up to it and be like, yeah, I fucking got caught. Okay. But you would rather attack my livelihood and also my insurance because you given me under 30 some odd hours that would have affected my insurance. You would rather fuck me up in such a horrible way versus just bring your ass in a couple nights a week. Like, that was fucking ridiculous to me. So I've told other people, like, you guys are looking for other jobs, like, use me as a reference. You want to come where I'm going, I'm fine with that because that he doesn't know how to manage. He's too busy trying to be a fucking child. And I don't have time for that. So 2019, that was my top toxic thing to change, was that job. And hopefully going forward, if I ever run into a situation like that again, to not sit in it as long as that, because that was ridiculous. And if it's within my power where I can change it immediately, then it has to be changed immediately. But for all you guys working retail, Like I know it's getting harder out there. It is. And it's not just the company I was working for. There's a lot of places. There's a lot of places you have these managers who don't want to do their jobs. They don't want, and even if they don't want to do their jobs, they don't want to train you to get you to your full potential because they're afraid of giving up whatever money they've got. But I don't know. I'm just happy to also be out of retail. Like, I hope I never, ever, ever have to return to that. That is, I can't do it. I cannot anymore. But anyways, I was hoping to make this a shorter video and I didn't. I'm so sorry. Maybe in the future, maybe not. Whatever. I need to learn how to edit and all that good stuff. But either watch it or don't. All right, guys. Happy 2020. Hopefully yours is starting off as good as mine is.